After becoming the stand-in for his beloved ex, I decided to emotionally manipulate the CEO instead. Since you're treating me like her, why don't you start by sending me a photo of your abs? If you can't even seduce me, how are you going to win her back? I woke up as the heroine of a tragic romance novel. In the story, I was only a substitute for the man's first love, a perfect angel he could never forget. He treated me terribly. I cooked for him, cleaned his house, warmed his bed, and endured the mockery of his friends. Then, when his true love came back, she humiliated me in every possible way. To please her, he kicked me out. Only after I died of cancer did he finally realize he'd lost the one who truly loved him. I lost my life. He lost his love. This time, I decided to take a completely different path. The story had just begun. Frank offered me $300,000 a month to act as his stand-in girlfriend. He looked exactly like the kind of man you'd imagine from a cliché CEO romance, tall, handsome, cold, and distant. You'll live here from now on, he said. Take care of me. Wait for me to come home every night. I still have classes. Drop out. That's what the original heroine did. She quit school, became his housekeeper, cut off all ties with the world, and had no way out. Of course, I wasn't about to make the same mistake. I heard you chose me because I look like your ex, Diana. If you still love her so much, why would you need a substitute? Doesn't that taint your precious love story? The man who was about to push me down on the couch froze for a moment. That's none of your business. The best gift a man can offer, I said calmly, is loyalty, integrity, and self-control. Diana's not dead. She's just abroad. If she comes back and finds out you had a lover while waiting for her, how disappointed do you think she'll be? Honestly, in women's circles, a man like you would be called a spoiled cucumber, cheap and worthless. You could have had a second chance with her, but now you've ruined it. Frank was caught completely off guard, sitting through what could only be described as a moral lecture for men. Don't think you can hide it from her, I added, wagging my finger. Nothing stays secret forever. And since what we have is a paid arrangement, if anything physical happens, that's technically illegal, and it wouldn't look great for your public image or your company's stock value. You sure cashed the check fast, he said coldly, letting me go and stepping back cautiously. I'm only trying to save you, I said sincerely. Since I have the face you dream of, I can heal your broken heart, but not by selling myself. So if you won't be my lover, how exactly are you planning to comfort me? I can help you practice pursuing her, I said, shifting to a more elegant pose. The novel once described that when I looked up at him, I looked exactly like Diana. Don't think of me as a stand-in, I said. You need to believe I am her. Imagine she's right here. What would you do? Frank took a slow drag from his cigarette, eyes hazy. She's never been here before. Pathetic. A devoted fool. Well, I said softly, smiling, I'm here now. So, what are you going to do? He was captivated by my face in the dim light and leaned in for a kiss. I slapped him hard. Kissing a woman without her consent is harassment. My eyes turned sharp. I lifted my chin slightly. Go to the bathroom, wet your shirt, and show your abs. He was still dazed from the slap, his face full of disbelief. I pulled him up, shoved him into the bathroom, and snapped a picture once he'd done it. I'd styled him perfectly, his shirt button one off, the faint line of his abs trailing down to his belt, dress pants, and polished shoes giving off that restrained, dangerous charm. Even Diana would have approved. I tossed him the phone. Send it to her. Frank hesitated. I can't. You've never chased a woman before, have you? Never had a normal relationship? A flicker of embarrassment and irritation crossed his face. I smiled slightly. Then let me be your personal dating coach. I'll act as Diana, teach you how to interact with her, and show you what women actually like. You'll gain both experience and confidence. So when you confess to her again, you won't be so clueless. And since this is purely a paid contract, there won't be any emotions or physical contact involved. Your reputation stays spotless. Frank thought for a moment, then nodded. Fine. Then I'm going home now. You'll drive me. What? I glanced at the clock. It's already 11. It's not safe for a girl to go home alone. You'll drive me, and remember, I'm Diana right now, so don't you dare send a driver instead. Frank stared at me for a long moment, then finally grabbed his car keys and drove me back to campus. Later, I changed my profile picture to match Diana's and texted him, I was good today. Frank replied, good night. Men like him only act decent when you make them. If you sacrifice everything for them, they'll think you're cheap. But if you set the rules, stay calm, and make them play your game, they'll treat you with respect. Sometimes, they'll even thank you for it. The next morning, I took the initiative and texted him good morning. Frank replied quickly, adding that we should meet for lunch. I got myself ready and showed up right on time, stepping into his Bentley. You did well today, I said with a smile. You replied quickly, made the first move to ask me out, and picked a car that really flatters me. But what? he asked. Your hair could use a trim, I said after studying him long enough, pretending to look away politely. For the first time, Frank experienced what it felt like to be under a woman's gaze. He touched his hair nervously and kept checking the rearview mirror to see what might be wrong. Truth is, the gaze is power. Men are used to judging women, deciding what's beautiful, what's sexy. So when I turned that same scrutiny on Frank, it was my way of reminding him who was really in control between us. Later at the restaurant, I kept the same tone. This place is great, the food's delicious, and you're very polite, I said. But you're not great at making women laugh. Were you this quiet when you were with Diana too? Frank coughed awkwardly. I never know what to talk about with women. Compliment me. I leaned forward and looked straight into his eyes. He froze, cheeks slightly red. You look beautiful today. Keep going. He turned his head away. Your outfit is simple, very pure. Better, more specific. Now add some details. He struggled, then finally said, your lipstick looks nice. I saw he'd hit his limit and switched the subject casually while cutting my steak. Were you busy this morning? Not really. Tell me about your company, I said, resting my chin in my hand and gazing at him sincerely. I've never met another CEO before, you're the only one I know. He started talking about his work, and I kept guiding the conversation, throwing in small praises here and there. Before he knew it, he'd told me a lot. In the end, I pointed out, see? That's how you build connection. Get the other person to talk about themselves, praise them often, and they'll want to keep sharing. Frank caught on quickly. Then what were you doing this morning? Thinking about you, I said without missing a beat. He turned his head, hiding a blush. I smiled faintly and said while slicing my steak, just a small trick. I was quite satisfied with this date. In the original story, the stand-in never even got to have a proper meal with him. It wasn't about whether he loved her or not, it was about whether he ever saw her as a person deserving basic respect. So I told him to carry my bag, subtly hinting he lacked manners. And honestly, a handsome CEO carrying my canvas tote looked surprisingly good. When I returned to the dorm, Emma splashed a cup of water in my face. Bella, I heard you've hooked up with my brother. You're disgusting. Emma was Frank's younger sister. Every tragic romance heroine seems to have one of these nightmare sisters-in-law, spoiled, mean, and loyal to the male lead's ex. Diana was their childhood friend, while I came from a completely different background. In her eyes, I didn't deserve Frank. In the novel, she used to slap and insult the heroine every chance she got. You think looking like Diana helps? You'll always be her cheap stand-in. I wiped my face and calmly called Frank. No crying, no drama. Are you free tonight? I asked. Yeah. Where do you want to eat? Eating out doesn't show much sincerity, I said, licking the water off my lips while looking straight at Emma. I'll come to your house tonight. You can cook for me. Then I hung up. Emma lost it. There's no way my brother will let you in his house, let alone cook for you. Are you crazy? What gives you the right? I smiled. Take a guess. You lowlife. I can make one call and get you expelled. They were indeed powerful people. Soon enough, my advisor called me in. He looked very serious. I brought you here for academic research, he scolded, and you're out there dating rich men? Luxury cars picking you up every day. How can you focus on your studies? In the original story, this same professor sided with Emma, ruining the heroine's reputation until she had to drop out and become Frank's kept woman. Have I ever skipped my research? Didn't I stay late in the lab every night? I asked. He wasn't used to students talking back and threw me out of the lab in anger. It was late autumn, cold and damp. Standing in the hallway, I realized my clothes were still wet from Emma's stunt. A kind female professor saw me shivering and took me into her office. Here, change into this. Her name tag said Anna. I remembered her, a minor character in the novel, one of the few who ever treated the heroine kindly. She was gentle and quiet, but stuck at the rank of associate professor, never promoted. If you've offended your advisor, she said softly while handing me a cup of hot milk tea, you might really lose your degree. So what if I get it? I replied. Plenty of graduates are still jobless. It's hard out there, especially for women in academia. You know that better than anyone. I sipped my drink and looked at her. I have a project, promising and well-connected clients. Would you be interested in hearing about it? That evening, Frank came to pick me up. Did Emma bully you? Emma loved calling him to complain, always twisting the story so I looked bad. If I tried to defend myself, he'd only think I was lying, which made him despise me more. She just cares about you, I said lightly. Seeing you treat me nicely makes her jealous. But what? She's been auditioning everywhere, skipping classes. She used to be one of the top students. Just a few words, and Frank frowned deeply. In the original story, Emma became a famous actress, a top star making millions every day. Ridiculous. Why did good luck always land on them? I decided to change her fate. Most people from families like hers go abroad for further study, I said. You're right, Frank agreed immediately. Perfect. Send her overseas for a few years. By the time she's back, she'll be too old for showbiz. We stopped by a supermarket, then drove to Frank's villa on the outskirts of the city. Women like Diana are delicate, I said. You didn't chase her just so she could cook and clean for you, right? I'd hire someone for that, he said casually. I smirked. Oh, now you know how to hire help? Funny how in the original story, I cooked soup for him for 3 years straight. Men who can cook get extra points, I said. It shows warmth and a sense of romance. Since your job keeps you busy, cooking occasionally would make up for that. Frank took off his suit jacket, tied an apron over his white shirt, and said, I used to cook when I studied abroad. Might be a bit rusty. I can't wait to test your skills then, I said, lounging at the kitchen bar, chin propped on my hand, watching him move around. Oh, how the tables had turned. Finally, it was his turn to cook for me. Beautiful. Frank had studied abroad, and surprisingly, his Western cooking skills were pretty good. I praised him. The presentation, aroma, and taste are all excellent. No major problems. You just need to figure out what Diana likes and cater to her preferences. She likes spicy food, strong flavors, Frank said, his eyes distant, nostalgic. In the original story, I had cooked for him for 3 years, yet he never remembered my preferences. The moment his first love came back, she ordered a spicy fish dish that was terrible for my period cramps. Clearly, he either had a bad memory or never cared about me. Who would remember what a clingy, desperate girl likes to eat anyway? I stirred the chicken mushroom soup. This isn't very healthy. You'll need to pay attention to the nutritional balance. You use a lot of butter and cheese. Are your cholesterol levels okay? Frank froze. I can see you're busy with work, rarely exercise, eat rich food, and drink alcohol. How was your last health check? Frank became serious. Not bad, I guess. You're almost 30, right? Time to take care of yourself. Frank looked shocked. He'd probably never imagined a pure college girl would call him old. Luckily, biotech is advanced these days. You can maintain a physiological age of 25. In Silicon Valley, top executives often have private doctors and supplement plans to keep their energy up. One of our professors has introduced this program in our department. At first, Frank wasn't interested, but I knew all his problems: poor sleep, stomach issues, allergies. I kept subtly nudging him, commenting on his dark circles, his tired look, the wrinkles at his eyes, showing him he was unhealthy. Then, at the right moment, I recommended Anna. Our department is top tier in biochemistry and materials science. Anna works in pharmaceuticals, and she prepared some supplements for him to try. He felt better, so Anna assembled a private team, doctor and nutritionist, monitoring his physical and mental condition daily while managing his supplements. Meanwhile, I wasn't idle. I registered a company under our department, got university entrepreneurship grants, and secured all the necessary licenses with school backing. By the time Frank signed the contract with Anna, I was already a co-founder of the cyber biotech company. I do feel much healthier lately, Frank said, looking vibrant. I sleep better, wake up energized, can focus more at work, and even manage to exercise every day. I smiled at him. I told you Anna is a professional. What's the cost exactly? Frank asked her. $2 million, Anna said slowly, a small smile on her lips. $2 million per year. After signing the first contract, Anna and I went out to celebrate at a restaurant. Your advisor went crazy when he heard you partnered with me, Anna said. We grad students call our advisors boss. Really? Today he called me over to continue class, I said. After hearing I'd started a business and landed a major contract, my advisor completely changed his attitude. He became unusually warm and even hinted at why I hadn't involved him. I told him directly, for business, I only partner with women. Women are meticulous, careful, emotionally intelligent, and empathetic. Anna asked, so are you going back to school? I shook my head. School is just preparation for work. I already have a job and a company to manage. I don't care if he cancels my enrollment. Anna smiled slightly. Even if he agrees, the department won't. They'll still want you to give a speech as an outstanding graduate. Then I'll wish you a speedy promotion to professor. I toasted her glass. In truth, what I did wasn't different from the original story. I made sure Frank was comfortable and stress-free. The difference was, I no longer personally cooked for him. I hired a professional team and also secured a financial gain from the process, becoming a rising star in the department rather than a struggling, halfway dropped-out student. Motherly sacrifices and devotion aren't worth much. Men won't love you just because of that. When emotions are mixed in, men often think it's their charm that earned it, making you look naive and foolish. I never understood why tragic romance heroines always care for men. There seems to be an East Asian cultural expectation: to love a man is to mother him. It's considered a female virtue. But if it's truly virtuous, why don't men do the same? Why don't men nurture women while building careers, instead of chasing wealth, power, and young beauties elsewhere? I respect women who play the supportive spouse role, but I can't do it. I don't enjoy caring for people, especially men. Men are none of my business. I refuse to work myself to death just to serve them. My time is valuable, so I choose to be like them, ambitious, wealth-driven, and unashamedly enjoying youth and beauty. As the Naples Quartet cover says, my whole life is just a vulgar struggle to climb the social ladder. When the month rolled around, Frank sent me the money, but I refused. I was just joking. You're Emma's brother, and I think you're a good person. I just want to be friends. There's no way I'd actually take your money. A pure little Bella might sell herself to be your lover for that price, taking all the shame and giving nothing in return. But I'm different. I earn your money openly, through official accounts, completely washing myself out of this substitute lover role. I exchanged the $300,000 he gave me for a Harley and returned it. He was genuinely surprised, grinning like a kid, his eyes sparkling as he looked at me. The next day, I received a bunch of luxury gifts. A new Dior handbag, a Chanel necklace, a Bulgari bracelet. Nice. Teaching him how to be generous as a man wasn't wasted. Little pure Bella spends little, now he knows it's my turn to be spoiled. In a vulgar social game of status, everyone has a price. Your status determines the quality of gifts you receive and how you're treated. I'm sending you gifts because you're one of our top clients. I sent him a voice message. What's this about? Congratulations on your startup success. Frank's voice no longer sounded cold. Well then, I graciously accept. I'll take you to try out the new car this weekend. When I went with him for some racing fun, we ran into his friends. Oh, who's this? Your little girl? She looks just like Diana. Frank looked a bit embarrassed. I calmly pulled out a business card from my bag and handed it to him. I'm Bella, co-founder of Cyber Biotech. May I know your name? Frank's friend glanced at my title and shook my hand enthusiastically. I'm James. Oh, another idiot male supporting character, Frank's childhood buddy. He thought Frank and Diana were a perfect match, and Bella intruding was disgusting. Since she's a submissive, he assumed everything that went wrong was her fault, calling her around without respect. They'd been out drinking, and then called her to pick them up. When did you start racing? James asked Frank. Frank looked at me. Bella gave me a Harley. Of course, using your money, I thought silently, smiling politely. He doesn't have much leisure time and is always working. I thought he was too tense and should experience a little speed and thrill. James whistled. Wow, why hasn't a gorgeous girl ever given me a car? Frank, you're lucky, a rich woman. I feigned surprise. Frank and I aren't like that. We only have business dealings. James, still sly, hovered between us. What business? Can I join? High-end medical, I smiled. If you're interested, I'll have my assistant send you the company and project profile. Hearing assistant, James finally believed me and straightened his face. You can be rude to a lover because she's just a plaything. A young founder with no emotional ties and legitimate business dealings? That's different. All men in society know how to size things up. Each of Frank's friends had a female companion. I dressed fashionably, adorned in luxury brands like them, but we were clearly separate. At dinner, James poured me mitai. I don't drink, I declined. I can drink, a bottle of mitai is no problem. But I won't drink a drop for a man, they mean nothing to me. I'll do it. Frank stood up and drank it in one gulp, cheered on by everyone. So gentlemanly, I said. You taught him well, Frank said, pleased. Sitting next to him, he looked good, respected. Later, I sent James the project and company profile. This is the same package Frank is using. You can check it out and see how he likes it. James, being a lecher, was delighted. I subtly assured him the service would enhance Frank's lifestyle, and he happily signed on. I took Frank's friends out a few times, turning them into clients as well. This is what I can't understand about tragic romance heroines. They have access to elite society yet do nothing, seemingly only suffering. If everyone thinks you're after a man's money, then why not take theirs boldly? Why be polite? By the end of the year, I bought a spacious apartment downtown. On moving day, I invited Frank over for dinner and showed him around. You can afford this right after graduation? You must be one of the top in your class, Frank said, admiration in his eyes. I smiled quietly. How would I know if this apartment is good? It was his original pick anyway. In the original story, this is probably when Frank settled Bella here. 3 years later, when the first love returned, Bella packed her suitcase and left the mansion, heartbroken over lost love. She never thought about the 3 years of youth she lost. At least get an apartment. I placed the property deed on the coffee table and looked out the floor-to-ceiling window at the sparkling river view. At sunset, Frank even poured me a glass of champagne. Absolutely perfect. At the beginning of spring, I was busy raising investment and ran into Frank's mother at a dinner at his house. So this must be Bella, right? I've heard so much about you from Frank and have been wanting to meet you, but we never got a chance, the lady, decked in pearls and jewels, said warmly. I smiled politely. My fault. I was supposed to visit you last week, but I got a sudden task and couldn't make it. She was awarded Outstanding Youth Representative of the city and went to a conference. Frank stood beside me, introducing me to his mother. Her eyes widened slightly. Frank, where did you meet such an outstanding young woman? Amazing. She even looks very young. I'm Emma's roommate, I said. He started talking to me because I resemble a dear old friend of his. It gave him a sense of familiarity. I glanced at Frank as I said this. Frank quickly coughed twice, signaling his mother with his eyes. She laughed. Oh, you mean Diana. Diana was our former neighbor. She's lively and self-centered, not as steady as you. Your facial features are somewhat similar, but a woman's aura matters more than appearance. Oh, I thought. I remembered that in the original story, Mrs. Frank always looked down on me, spending money trying to push me away from her son. It was quite funny. Diana had always been the perfect daughter-in-law in her eyes. I, the imposter, felt like a downgrade. At first, her only goal was to get rid of me. When that didn't work, she began nitpicking daily, complaining that the food I cooked had too much salt, wasn't healthy, or that the clothes I washed for him didn't use enough natural fragrance, causing allergies. Basically, I was Frank's stepmother, while she was his real mother. The real mother thought the stepmother wasn't doing a good enough job and probably wanted to do everything herself. Every time I visited the mansion, I felt like a servant. In such a big, wealthy family, I'd eat a couple of prunes and still have to watch her face. Rather than stinginess, it was more like PUA, constantly belittling you to intensify your sense of unworthiness. At this moment, she held my hand warmly and led me aside. Apparently, she had been eager to see me because Frank had recommended the bio-anti-aging technology. Being over 50, her desire to delay aging was even stronger. We mainly serve young high-net-worth clients, she began, because younger people are less likely to have health issues. But I'm good friends with Frank, so if you need this, I'll do my best to accommodate, she said. Free money comes knocking, you don't leave it. I just can't guarantee such amazing results, and routine maintenance can't replace the hospital, she added. Usually, it's all talk until something happens, then rush them to the hospital and sell a few extra insurance plans. I already had a full custom solution in mind. She said enthusiastically, it's fine. I'd like to try. What could I do? Of course, I signed the order with tears in my eyes. She was older and even doubled the price, so that's $4 million a year. I forgot to mention, in the original story, Bella didn't just serve Frank, she also served his mother, cooking elaborate meals and giving her skincare gifts every visit. The treatment she received was that she wasn't allowed upstairs. Even though Diana had an empty room on the second floor, Bella couldn't spend even a single night there. During their first New Year together, Bella worked in the kitchen until midnight. Finally, his mother told Frank she was drunk and asleep, so Bella should finish cleaning and go home. She walked alone, through the ringing of New Year bells, in the white, snow-covered streets. That evening, Frank's mother invited me to stay over. I followed her upstairs and looked at the so-called second-floor room. How is it? This room was specially prepared for you, she said. I inspected it carefully, until her expression turned anxious. Never mind, Auntie. I'll just go home. I was very disappointed and grabbed my bag, turning to leave. Her face instantly went pale. I didn't like her room, it didn't suit me. And I would never tell her exactly what I found unsatisfactory. She'd have to guess, trembling with worry, just like Bella had to guess her thoughts in the original story. After a while, Frank's mother came looking for me again. I told my secretary, say I'm in a meeting and have her wait in the reception room. Okay, Bella. I had no bad intentions, I just wanted to make her wait a little, so she wouldn't run over the second she called. In the original story, every plot involving her was extremely over the top. I worked so hard so that when they tried to compete with me, at least they'd have to pass security and the secretary first. Even if she tried to throw $10 million at me to leave her son, there would still be legal people around. It makes the scene look much better, in line with my aesthetic. I played on my phone for a while, then went out to meet her. Hello, Auntie. The meeting just ended. She carried a small stew. I heard you get stomach aches easily, so I made some nourishing bird's nest soup for you. That's very kind. What's the matter? Frank and Emma had a fight, she sighed. Emma wants to join the entertainment industry and become a star. Frank is determined to send her abroad to study properly. I'm aware, I said. Not just aware, I was the one who originally suggested to Frank that Emma should study abroad, and I didn't hold back in pushing it later. Frank really insists on forcing her to study. Being a star isn't that bad, she said. The entertainment industry has messy relationships between men and women, she corrected herself. Emma has argued with her brother several times. Frank didn't give in. Today she was supposed to fly to the U.S., but she ran away from home and can't be reached. You're her roommate. Do you know where she went? I twirled a pen. Don't worry, Auntie. I'll try to contact her. I turned to her former roommates to find out where Emma was. In the original story, they often teamed up with Emma against me because I seduced her brother and shamelessly became his lover. After I transferred here, things got much better. Anna and I started a company. Anna got promoted to professor this year, and the former classmates had trouble finding jobs after graduation. I even hired 2 of them from ordinary families as employees. They now call me Bella. I sent them a ding-talk message, and they quickly forwarded Emma's location. I drove over. Emma was crying in a hotel. Don't think I don't know. It's all your fault. You egged my brother on. I only said it casually. How could I know he'd take it seriously? I said, innocent. Just because we're roommates, he keeps comparing me to you. Emma wiped her tears, her makeup smudged. What's there to compare? Your level? You're nothing compared to me. In senior year, you chased boys, while I was running the capital scene, organizing deals. Come on. I leaned back on the sofa, crossed my legs, and started puing her hard. So, are you really set on entering the entertainment industry? I'm not going to study. What's the use? You dropped out anyway. I poured myself some Monjing tea. I got my degree and even gave the outstanding graduate speech. I'm going to act, no matter what, Emma said firmly, leaving me speechless. She made me start believing in fate. Maybe she really was destined to be a top actress. I rolled my eyes. So you don't plan to go back? Work alone out there? I'm about to join a crew for a short drama. Huawei's agent contacted me already. I snorted. The boss of Huawei is their top sister. You have no resources or background. You're just a pretty face in the same category. How could they support you? You'll always be under someone. Plus, Huawei throws a lot of drinking parties. Can you really sleep with a coal boss? Emma was stunned. This spoiled girl may have caused chaos at school, but without her brother, she's nothing, a naive young girl with 0 social experience. I thought for a moment. I'll talk to your brother. I'll set up a company for you. Will he agree? If he won't, I will. Enough said. I snorted and left, Emma staring in awe. At Frank's, I used a different approach. She insists on joining the entertainment industry. That industry is chaotic, Frank said, smoking frantically. How about this? I'll set up a company for her, find an agent to manage her. Better than letting her struggle under someone else. This way, we can supervise her, I said. Frank looked at me with gratitude. You do it, I'll invest. It won't be much money. You'd get laughed at entering the industry. I'll manage it myself. I'm genuinely interested, I said. Capital has its hierarchy. The big players look down on the entertainment industry. I didn't care about his reputation. I just didn't want him involved. I wanted Emma in my hands. In the end, I successfully brought Emma back home. She sobbed, Bella, you're amazing, thank you. She bowed to me. Thanks to Bella cleaning up your mess. Don't bother her again, Frank said sternly to his sister. Of course, Emma wouldn't mess with me again. I had signed her to my company, making her my employee. I instructed her agent privately, manage her however you like. No need to overthink it. She's a rich second generation, her family wants her married soon. Emma was impressive. Even with all my behind-the-scenes manipulation, she starred in 2 dramas the next year. I didn't mind, half the money went into my pocket anyway. I hated Emma, but I couldn't go against the money. That wouldn't be ethical. So I had her schedule packed with shoots and variety shows. Every month, she earned me 10 to 18 million. I even leveraged her fame to raise 480 million for the company, recruiting a team of young men to nurture. I developed a habit. Whenever pressure hits, I head straight to the entertainment company. Seeing young men competing to call me sister and trying to sneak scripts to me secretly, my mood lifted. Youth. Thanks, Emma. Just as my career was really taking off, one day Frank called and asked me to go on a trip. Their company has an annual business trip, and in the past few years, we got along well, so he always invited me. This wasn't the first time, and I trusted him, so I got ready and went. Honestly, I didn't really hate him anymore. After all, he gave me my first big break, not just giving me money, but also bringing in his family and friends to support me financially. This wasn't the behavior of a scumbag. Even the bodhisattvas of Putuam Mountain aren't as effective. Every New Year's Day, I'd visit him first before heading to the temple. Another reason we got along so well is that we had no emotional baggage now. We were just ordinary business friends, chatting, drinking tea, sharing info, seeing what investments might make money, maybe speculating a little. That's just how life is for executives. So my standards for Frank were low. As long as he didn't ask me to wash clothes, cook, make soup, or act as a substitute for pregnancy or heartbreak, I could get along with him just fine. But life is unpredictable. I drove to the hotel he booked and saw the lawn filled with pink roses. Not just small bouquets, but an expensive, styled floral setup. The centerpiece was a massive 30-meter-tall rose sculpture, a completely dreamlike scene. Frank was standing below holding a bouquet of pearl roses. All our friends from the circle, Emma and their company employees, were dressed up and staring at me expectantly. Friends, I thought we were going to the beach, so I wore flip-flops and hadn't even painted my nails. Frank, perfectly groomed and holding the flowers, stepped forward. Bella, I've never been good with girls or understood romance. You're the first girl willing to patiently teach and guide me. I never thought I could have so much to talk about with someone. Being with you is pure happiness. I want to continue this happiness. Will you marry me? He got down on one knee and pulled out a diamond ring. I froze. Everyone was cheering, cameras pointing at me, but the only thing I knew was, I absolutely didn't want to get married, and if I did, it wouldn't be to Frank. So I grabbed his hand and shook it wildly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Frank, for this honor. We were just business partners, and now you want to become life partners? This is too sudden. I'm speechless, my brain is mush. This is a huge situation, you totally ambushed me. Let's go inside, sit down, talk first. Is it late? Have they started serving dinner yet? Frank's face clearly fell, and the others realized the proposal wasn't going smoothly. But I'd given him enough face, nothing was ruined. They all happily went into the hotel restaurant to eat and drink. Frank tried to act like a proper groom, greeting the guests. James came over, looking like he wanted to scold me. I put on a cold face first. Frank, what's your deal? You're really not giving me face today. James blinked. Huh? How is he not giving you face? He didn't notify me about the proposal. Even the photographer is dressed nicer than me. Standing here in this setup, the scene is all wrong. On social media, people will think I photoshopped myself, and if I try to post, then they'll call me pretentious. Just because of that? James was speechless. He spent over $300,000 preparing this for a month, made us all keep it secret. I'm not his girlfriend. Why propose? I said coldly. Isn't it because your entertainment company has a lot of young actors? He's worried? So his solution is a grand proposal? Didn't he think I might refuse? Reckless planning. I thought he was steady. Turns out he's too impulsive. I shook my head. James couldn't follow my logic, seeing me scold Frank instead. After a while, he muttered, refusing him publicly is embarrassing for him. I have one good trait, I never internalize problems. This isn't my fault, it's entirely his. First, he should have asked me privately. If I refused, he'd just be sad, not embarrassed. Second, he had no backup plan, he got rejected and doesn't know how to save face. Embarrassment is on him. But the fact he dared to do this shows he was overconfident. He thought that if he asked, I'd say yes. What does he take me for? Does he look down on me? Treat me like a toy? James saw me getting angrier and tried to calm me. Of course not. You misunderstood him. He really likes you. Then he's emotionally stupid, I said. I refuse any moral guilt. The fault is Frank's. I've given him plenty of face. Seeing me so firm, James was completely brainwashed. He's emotionally low, but be patient with him. You've seen how he treats you all these years. Just get married already. You know more about our relationship than I do? If you care so much about him, why don't you marry him? The wedding setup is ready, the suit's tailored, I'll order it for you. James almost cried. Bella, I'm not gay. He's just my bro. How can you think that? I had just finished ripping into James when Frank arrived. James ran to him like he found a savior, careful not to make eye contact to avoid looking gay. I was still angry, hadn't finished, and motioned for Frank to follow me into the meeting room. I continued, what was that all about today? What meaning could I possibly have? Frank sat on the sofa, pulled out a cigarette, but didn't dare light it, just fiddling with it between his fingers. After all these years, shouldn't you give me a promise? What promise? We haven't even dated. Why are we fast-forwarding straight to marriage? We haven't dated? Ha! Frank's hand trembled slightly as he held the cigarette. So what have all these years been? I cooked for you, drove you wherever you went, accompanied you everywhere. In 2019, when your dad was in the hospital for surgery, you were abroad and couldn't come. I stayed in the hospital day and night with your dad. Have I not given to you? I shot back. I bought your Harley. Your watches, suits, shoes, I either bought them or picked them out. Whenever I went out, I brought you gifts. You wanted the first milk tea of autumn? I ordered hundreds and sent one to every employee at your company. You wanted something, I got it for you immediately. Am I not thoughtful enough? Frank calmed down a little but still looked disappointed. Listen to yourself. You sound like a scumbag. You're just leading me on, keeping me as a backup. Leading you on? Backup? I looped my hand around and said, Frank, I've treated you as a very good friend. I'm generous and willing to give to friends. Frank turned his head away. There's no such thing as friendship between men and women. Oh really? So because I treat you as a friend, you want to sleep with me? I grabbed my flip-flops and threw one at his custom suit. Frank's father died early, he took over the family young, and his mother spoiled him. He'd never been hit in his life. When my flip-flop hit him, he froze and instinctively curled up a bit. I raised the other flip-flop in my hand, furious, pacing on the wooden floor. Fine, since you say that, I'll tell you why I've only treated you as a friend all these years, why I never had any romantic thoughts about you. Do you remember how we met? You were Emma's classmate. We had a meal together. Frank dodged. And then? You offered me $300,000 to be your little mistress, just because I looked like your first love. I slammed the flip-flop on the table. Do you think I could ever live with you after that? Are you insane? A flicker of guilt crossed Frank's eyes. That was the past. I didn't know you well back then, and we quickly cleared up the misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Stop it. I sneered. From the day you spoke to me, you had no chance. Why? Because that revealed your terrible character. What kind of man offers to support a female college student as a mistress on the first day he meets her? Takes her home to sleep? Totally lacks basic decency. Frank immediately sat up straight. You're saying all this about me? I don't admit it. That was my first time. I'd never dated anyone or had a lover. Since then, I haven't. When others bring dates to events, if you're free, I call you, or my male secretary accompanies me. I am the most decent man in Jinghai. As for why I made such a reckless request when we first met, it was you. When I saw you, I knew we were destined to be together. Even if I spoke clumsily, acted rashly, or was a little forceful, my love for you is sincere. You have to admit that. I blinked, looking him over. Frank, you've grown a bit. Even this domineering CEO could now speak sweet words. If I hadn't read the original story, I might have believed him. I tossed the flip-flops aside and sat down. You're saying all the right things now, but I know if I hadn't clung to the top these 3 years, if I were still a penniless college student, I'd be your golden cage. You wouldn't love me, you wouldn't even respect me. Nonsense. No, it's true. I had read the script, thank you very much. What I hated most is that back then, when I was poor, you dared to insult me with the mistress offer. That showed me your vulgarity, recklessness, lack of kindness, even cruelty. And it explains why your so-called love today is so transactional. Do you understand? When I entered this deep, soul-level conversation, Frank went silent. He had never considered this. He is a man with massive resources, used to being at the top in society. He never had to bow to anyone. Society only expects him to win, constantly grabbing more resources. Meanwhile, as a woman, if I earned his love, I had one. The whole system is twisted. What I value is not your preference for me. I care about how someone treats those less fortunate once they have wealth and power. That is true character. Now we both have money and influence, but so what? I pointed to a hotel maid walking by. Our character is no different from hers. We are equal. But in your family, in your mind, you're all above others, trampling on them. Emma bullied me at school. Why? Because she could. She still hasn't apologized. Safety doesn't come from preference. It comes from character. I fed him all this new thinking. When I left, Frank was still digesting it alone. At home, I opened Jane Eyre and sent him the famous lines. You think because I am poor, lowly, ugly, and small, I have no soul, no heart? You are wrong. My soul is as yours, my heart just the same. If God had granted me wealth and beauty, I would make it impossible for you to leave me, just as now it's impossible for me to leave you. Now I speak to you, my spirit speaks to yours, as if we have both faced the grave and stand equal before God, because we are equal. I told him, this book was written in 1847. A woman spoke her heart over 200 years ago. And today it's 2025, nearly 2 centuries, and no one has ever truly heard our inner cries. After that incident, for a while, people secretly laughed at Frank, calling him my simp. At one dinner, an older man even gave him advice, not to care so much about a woman like me. I'm too strong, too impressive, a woman should look for someone obedient. With Frank's looks and status, he could have a new pretty influencer every month. What's the point of working hard otherwise? Frank's answer? He admired me. I was important to him. He didn't want me to look down on him. First be a good person, then do business, he told that boss. The man thought Frank was pretentious and self-righteous. But it didn't matter. Frank was the client. The boss complained quietly but publicly still scheduled their dinner at a tea house, enjoying a calm, middle-aged lifestyle. A few months later, 3 years had passed, and our female lead, Diana, returned to the country. I got the news from James, firsthand. A few of us old friends are planning to have dinner with her. Do you want to come? I found it strange. You old friends are meeting, why include me? Because you're our old friend too. How could we eat without inviting you? James laughed on the phone. Just giving you a heads up. Come or not, doesn't matter. It felt a little awkward, but I went anyway. I like seeing how things turn out in this altered timeline. When I arrived, everyone was there except Frank. Where's he? At a meeting? I thought back. He didn't have anything important scheduled today. How dare he come? That's what you mean, right? James winked at me. He's not coming, and you call me? I didn't think you'd actually come. Just thought you should know. Better than finding out later, right? James replied, laughing nervously. It seemed like even handling Diana's return had the guys scratching their heads, trying to avoid awkwardness. I found it amusing. I could feel everyone trying to protect Frank's reputation, so different from the original story. When Diana walked in, I carefully looked at her features. We had a similar facial structure, but our vibes were completely different. I never thought anyone could match my style, let alone me resemble her. That's probably my pride talking. Diana seemed a bit stiff. This is Bella, Emma said, linking arms with me, showing we were close friends. Diana, we always told Bella you look a lot like her. Diana looked embarrassed, just like in the original story when Bella was called a substitute at the table. All beautiful women share similar features, symmetry in 3 sections and 5 eyes, I said, clinking glasses with her. She visibly relaxed. Nothing dramatic happened at that table, everyone just chatted. I hadn't met Diana before, but I'm used to business socializing. I had brought her a small gift, a classic pearl brooch. Later, when the men had a bit too much to drink, she swapped seats to talk to me for a while, and we got acquainted. I knew a bit about her situation. Her family went bankrupt, and this artsy young lady returned to work off debt. She looked tired. Have you found a job yet? I asked. James arranged a job for me, managing a hotel under his family's name. I said that sounded good. We exchanged WeChat, and the dinner ended smoothly. As we left, Frank's Bentley was parked quietly outside, its lights blinking at me. I got in the passenger seat, and Diana waved to him through the window. Frank, why didn't you come today? Too busy, Frank said, squinting, lying. It's the same even if Bella comes. You came all the way even though you were busy? That's so thoughtful, Diana said politely. It's past 11, I had to drive them, Frank replied. Diana watched us drive away, looking a little down, with a hint of envy. I texted James to give her a ride. After that, I glanced at Frank. You're nervous. He was probably just having James report the situation to me, while he stayed far away. He didn't expect I would actually check on Diana. Frank gripped the steering wheel, staring straight ahead. Internally, I'm about to collapse. Handling such complicated feelings this well is impressive. But what do you mean same even if Bella comes? I give her a gift, and you turn around and say I represent you. Are you freeloading off my favors? Yes, I often do that outside, he admitted. I smirked. Diana didn't stay long in Jinghai. She quickly went to start work at James' hotel in a faraway city. Within 6 months, they actually got married. When I got the invitation, I was stunned. But thinking about it, Diana was eager to climb the social ladder and make money, and James was a womanizer, always helping Diana speak up in the original story, so this outcome wasn't too surprising. Frank went as the best man, and Diana invited me to be a bridesmaid. Over the past 6 months, she had talked to me a lot. She admitted she didn't really have friends. Emma and her group were shallow and looked down on her family's decline. Maybe I was the only one who treated her kindly. The wedding was extravagant. After they married, Diana had a daughter. One day, she suddenly called me, crying, saying she couldn't take it anymore and wanted a divorce. Her family was already in decline. No matter how much she tried to care for her in-laws, she got no respect. James even cheated during her pregnancy. Whenever she protested, he would hit her. She wanted a son to carry on the family line but had a daughter instead. James refused to even get a marriage certificate with her, spending his time indulging himself while she had no support during postpartum. He was strict with money, worried she would give any to her family. I had already guessed it would turn out this way. Bring your daughter here. I have plenty of empty apartments. Pick one you like. She was stunned. Bella, I'm just venting to you. What can I do? If I leave him, how will I raise my daughter? You won't work outside? I'll hire a nanny for you. Once you start earning, just pay me back for the rent and nanny. I might never be able to repay you, and I can't find a job. Jobs are hard to get. Emma's agent is leaving soon. You can fill in for her. She kept resisting, crying the same worries over and over. Divorce is bad. She can't work. She can't raise a child. I booked a ticket and flew straight over. We talked all afternoon. Do you know why you're in this situation? Because you put your hope in a man, thinking everything will be fine with him. But life doesn't hand out easy wins. Look at your marriage, seemingly wealthy, but you have no money of your own. You give birth, do housework, manage the home. My housekeeper earns $200K a year with bonuses, and I don't hit her. She only nags me, but I'm not sure I can do it. I've never worked in the real world. The outside is a jungle, but here it's hell. In hell, you have no dignity, no value. Her eyes clearly showed she was moved. I didn't say more. Once we got inside, I told her we'd go on a trip with her daughter. His parents had known me for a long time. They were polite but didn't really care about their daughter-in-law, so they easily agreed. She packed a single suitcase, held her daughter, and flew back with me the same day. I settled her into one of my apartments, hired a nanny, and had one of my agent friends guide her at work. The next day, she started at the company. That night, Diana texted me. Yesterday, I thought my life was over, desperate enough to want to die with my daughter. But today, I've already become a completely different person. I sent her a passage from The Second Sex. A man's great fortune is that, whether as a child or adult, he must walk a very difficult path, yet it is the most reliable one. A woman's misfortune is that she is surrounded by irresistible temptation. She is not required to strive, only encouraged to slide toward pleasure. When she realizes she's been fooled, it's too late. Her strength has already been exhausted by the risk. Diana realized there was no turning back. She worked hard, learned carefully, and after the agent left, she filled the role perfectly. Diana and Emma, originally close friends, had tormented each other for a while. Later, Emma became too arrogant and suffered a scandal. Diana gained the upper hand, no longer under her thumb. I trained Diana for a year, then handed over the company to her, giving her financial freedom. Her daughter calls me godmother. Frank only found out much later that we were working together. He was shocked and uneasy, but when he saw we were genuinely building a business together and weren't interested in him, he finally relaxed. He still never dared meet Diana. Their only phone call was Diana contacting me about a contract. When he answered, she immediately said, "How can you just pick up someone else's phone?" Frank was furious. Why can't I answer her phone? From then on, Diana's view of him became simply, that man. Like all friends, she thought he wasn't worthy of me. Meanwhile, James, seeing Diana leave, was frustrated. But she had become confident, capable, and glamorous, a true alpha woman. He came back to pursue her, but she said, "I'm busy, schedule with my assistant." Her schedule was packed for 2 years. James caused trouble at the company and at her home, but without a marriage certificate, it wasn't a legal issue. He even got detained. When released, Frank scolded him for being despicable and immoral. James became much more obedient afterward, afraid Frank would cut him off. I told Diana, "You are truly chosen. Your fate didn't require a marriage certificate or a divorce waiting period. Before your career began, you already had your daughter." Diana now sees it positively. James may be trash, but my daughter is beautiful and smart. The X chromosomes are the only thing worth seeing. Later, Diana started dating one of our company's young talents. She supported him, and when he won Best Actor, he cried and promised to care for her child, or he would break the contract. I told her, "Go for it. Just sign it. You don't want next year's financial report to be messed up." They ended up living together. When Frank found out, he turned green with jealousy. "Why am I still just your boyfriend? Don't I deserve to marry you?" "They're just living together," I said. "But we're not." Frank got more and more upset. "Why is this happening? I feel so insecure. I'm busy and exhausted every day, drive half an hour to see you, and sometimes you're not even there. I don't know where you are, who you're with. You don't reply to my messages. Then move in here," I suggested. He had been a little anxious lately, probably because everyone kept asking him when I would marry him. Seeing all the young guys at our company probably made him feel pressured. After we'd been living together for a while, he seemed calmer. One day, lying in bed, he asked me when we would get married. I seriously discussed it with him. Marriage is outdated. It doesn't fit today's society, which is why so many people don't marry. Aren't we fine like this? If it works, we stay together. If not, we separate. Then, he cried. "I don't care if marriage is outdated. I just want to marry you. You make me feel like you don't care about me at all. Don't consider my feelings. We've been together 10 years. 10 years. And I'm still just your boyfriend. That little trust fund guy can handle it, but I started from nothing with you, Bella. You said you'd try to give me whatever I want, so I want that piece of paper." I thought about it and decided, fine, whatever. I wasn't the most moral person and didn't want family responsibilities. Originally, dating Frank was just for fun, I liked his skills, and sleeping together was fine. But he had endured so much emotional struggle because of my casual attitude. I felt guilty. Besides, he had grown so much over the years. Compared to the original story, he was completely different, polite, refined, and mature in how he treated people. He wasn't just normal, he was well above normal. Among men I'd met, his character was top tier. He could understand new ideas, see things from a woman's perspective, a completely different type from ordinary men. So, I didn't mind. If things didn't work out, we could divorce. The law protects the wealthy anyway, and I wasn't worried about property. I'm action-oriented, so the next day, I took him to the civil affairs office. When he got the certificate, he said devoutly, "From now on, if I get sick or need surgery, you can sign for me. You're not afraid I'll stab your trachea? You're too murderous. Married for one day and you want to kill your husband." Frank shook his head. Now he even lectured me on morality. Our wedding was huge, very extravagant. I really didn't want it like that. But Frank insisted. "I fell down here once, I want to rise here. I must throw a big wedding and show everyone Frank finally got her. No need to be so humble. I'm embarrassed. You're my legal husband now, you can be confident. Then sleep with me tonight," he said. I laughed so hard I almost died. But honestly, marriage was exhausting. We were both in our 30s, with no worldly desires. That night, we just sat quietly on a garden bench at the estate. The moon and stars were out, and he asked gently, "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking, I've done something amazing getting here. I had almost rewritten the fate of everyone in this story. I put myself in a position where no drama could touch me, and everyone around me became a better person, whether sincere or not. I also tried to help the so-called villainous women stuck in dead-end situations, never hurting them, even when I could have." "That's natural," Frank nodded. "And your future? Any wishes?" I thought for a moment. I hope the world never produces cruel, shocking stories again. I hope all women go out and fight bravely in society. I hope everyone recognizes the value of housework and motherhood. Frank looked at me for a long moment, then whispered, "I really fall for you." He was my believer.